Hello, welcome to the latest episode of the Herd Marketing Podcast, and today we are going to be talking about relationship marketing, and in that we have a special guest with us, and that is Mark Waldron from Move. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark, what it is you do, and a little bit about what we're going to be covering today in terms of relationship marketing.
Yeah, obviously my company is Move, hence the big top there, in case you miss it. I suppose Move is, I'm helping people with relationship marketing and marketing services, but overall Move as a company has just come about from my desire to help people achieve more in life, whether it be like your fitness and health, your mindset and sort of wellness in all areas, and your business, always moving forward in all those areas. So from doing that, I've ended up as a natural progression to be someone that's good at marketing, and one of the areas is to help people get more business, because I found that not a lot of people are good at getting business in, whereas that's something I've been fortunately blessed with and just picking up over the path I've been on. So
your background is sort of in construction prior to this, and sort of BNI networking sort of meetings, that sort of thing, yeah?
That's it, yeah. I started out as a joiner when I was 29, so nearly 10 years ago now, and just got a job with a local builder, and within a year I'd sort of built up enough skills to think, I'll do this by myself now. And within a year or two I'd already gained like a couple of letting agents that would pass me work, grew the company slightly, and someone suggested, you should change your name from Waldron Joinery to Waldron Construction and do everything, because I said I'm going to start doing extensions and building houses and all that, even though I'd never done it. And someone suggested this thing called BNI, and I'm like, what's BNI? It turned out it was this sort of network organisation, the biggest one for networking. Become a member of that, and I was a member for 5 years, and this next month will be, or the end of this month I suppose, will be 2 years since I've not been a member. But I was in for 5 years, did really well in it, and that enabled me to grow my business a lot. But from being in that organisation, that's where I learned, I suppose, a lot of the tips, tricks of marketing, how relationships are formed, what does and doesn't work, because I found that a big part of in BNI, a lot of people were saying, this doesn't work for me that well. And people like me and other members were like, this is amazing, we get tons of business. I suppose it was my being inquisitive and like sort of curiosity of like, why are some people saying it doesn't work when other people saying it's amazing, but we're all in the same room, all doing the same thing. Like, what's the difference?
You had some quite good success, didn't you, with BNI? Were you explain that a little bit more to us? Because I'm not overly familiar myself with BNI, but if you give us, I know you were fairly successful within your area, if you like.
I suppose ultimately there's lots and lots of chapters. So to groups of people, there might be like 20 people, 30, even 40. And some groups got like literally 50, 60, 70 people, like chapters down in London. But if you imagine there's maybe 30 odd people meet every single week in this room in a hotel, in one of the conference rooms or something, and everyone was there to try and pass each other business and build relationships. In doing so, there's like it was called the traffic light system, and you were either in the green, amber or red section, and there was even a grey section, so you didn't even have a colour. And it was that sort of leader, it was like a leaderboard of like where you were, and it wasn't about the business you got and how good you were doing as a business. It was like, how good are you as a member by helping people and giving and contributing. That's what it was measured on. And for the last 3 years, until the day I left, I was like the top member every month for 3 years or just over. So that's now, I don't say that to say, look at me, I'm not number one, but it's more to say I'm good at networking, I understand the process, I understand the concept of networking, and if you do it properly, why you get lots and lots of business from it. And ultimately that strategy and the way to go about your business in BNI can lend itself to anywhere as long as there's people. So that's why I call it relationship marketing now, because that same strategy, it works well in BNI, but it works well everywhere, whether it's another network event, the one I run, a family party, the gym, anywhere where there's people. There's a lot of untapped potential And that's what a lot of people don't realise, and that's hopefully, or is now, what I show people how to benefit from.
So it's about building sort of interpersonal relationships with people, both in your personal life and in your sort of business life, really, and trying to sort of, so you're trying to sort of transfer those skills and sort of coach those skills now, aren't you? If I'm right in thinking you act as sort of business coach alongside a number of other things which we'll come to shortly, but
yeah. I suppose the clients I've got on board now are people who, they've got a good product or a service and they want to be able to provide that to the clients, or the end clients as I call it. And the bit in the middle, getting the clients, is the hard bit. And by utilising those relationships and tapping into the power. I mean, I always give an analogy. It's like if you had a box of batteries, but you didn't know what batteries were, but a lot of the stuff around your house uses batteries, so you knew you could use a lot of this stuff and make use of it by using these batteries, but you don't even know. You've literally got untapped potential sat there that you don't even know you can use. So it's the same with relationships. Every relationship you have, whether it be a family friend or, you know, a relative, someone you've knew all your life, or someone new at a business networking event, or someone you might meet in the future, every person has got some power that you can tap into, and likewise they can tap into your power so you can help them. But I suppose the basis around all of it is like, how are you helping other people? That's sort of what everything is centered on.
Yeah, it's a good way to sort of operate and think, really, isn't it? You're thinking, I suppose you're thinking long, and your thought process is long term rather than short term, and in that as well, because you are building relationships. It's not you're not looking for quick wins, and I think certainly from a business perspective, it's not, that's critical, really.
I'd 100% agree with that. I mean, it took me a long time to build up to the point where in my construction business, which again, it still runs that, but it's really scaled down and will eventually be shut down so we can concentrate on everything I do now. But I don't really trade anymore. But when it was at its biggest, it took a while to build up like clients, because it was all done without trying to sell. I've never once ever sold anything or asked for business. Every bit of business that come to me was someone picking up the phone to me and calling me or sending me an email, and that was built from the relationships I've developed and utilising like the sort of the strategy I now teach to people, and that ultimately that's how it went. I ended up with more business than I could handle, and like way out of proportion compared to the size of the business. So business is this big, I had like this many opportunities, which is a nice position to be in, because you either pick and choose what you want, or you have the opportunity to scale and grow. So whichever way you want to do it. And that's now, again, I suppose what I'm trying to get clients to understand. You can be in that position to choose. Do you want to grow your business as big as you want it, or do you want to have more opportunities to choose from, to pick all the best jobs that you like?
Yeah, it's interesting, Seth, especially within construction as well, where I remember we were talking off air earlier about things, and where you've got subcontractors and you've got people you've got to rely on, and that sort of relationship that you build with them is critical, really. Certainly in terms of keeping your good name and keeping the company's name in the forefront of clients and potential new clients' minds. It's important. So yeah, that definitely some interesting points to take away about how to foster and build relationships with all sorts of people. So it's not just customers or clients. It's interpersonal relationships of all types, isn't it?
100%. I mean, one thing I suppose I use, which again, when I've got clients, it's one of the first things I teach them. It's called the 10-to-1 rule. So it's a simple like rule and a mindset that I go off, which is I'm going to help people, no matter who it is I meet, 10 times before I would even expect one thing back off them. Even if then, maybe help them 10 times, you get nothing. But in my head, it's almost like a game. Like, how am I going to help this person? And when you say help, it can be anything you can think of, as long as you're engaging with them in some way. And once you're gone, you've left a good impression where they're like, nice guy, that guy. He's just tried to help me in some way, give me some knowledge, or help me with something I needed, or just in some way was nice. Might even just be commenting on a LinkedIn post all the time and helping him in that way, and driving the post forward and actually reading the content, putting a meaningful post on rather than just a thumb up. That's helping them. So if you can keep helping people lots, you almost, if you can do it so much so that they almost feel obliged to help you back. And that's ultimately, that's how I've built the construction business so big, so much so that I'm I always wanted to speak to architects, but if someone would introduce me to one, it wouldn't be to say, oh, I've now got the architect, let's see if I can get business from them. It was that same 10-to-1 rule again. It's like, I'm going to see them, see if I can help them. So ultimately, they'd be thinking, so you've asked to meet me, and you're coming to see me to see how you can help me and pass me more business. And this is that's the first time they ever come into contact with me and seeing what I'm about. The result of that, architects picking up the phone and sending me emails saying, Mark, just done the plans for another job, a big extension or a house build or a loft conversion. Would you like to price it? So I'm getting like loads of opportunities coming through simply because of all the efforts in the relationship I've put in prior. Whether it takes weeks, years, months, whatever it takes, like just always being of a mindset of how am I going to help them.
Yeah, and that pays dividends a lot long term, as you've just sort of given us some good examples of. I know. Sort of moving forward, we spoke a little bit in the past and just off air earlier actually about Move. I know it's on your t-shirt now, and your comment about architects just reminded me. So tell us a little bit about Move and what that is and how you operate that and what you do with that.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I found while I was in construction and prior to that, like I've gone to the gym for 18 years, always been in like a good mindset, always positive, even during times when bad things are happening, always seeing the positive side of it. Every cloud has a silver lining, that type of attitude. And in business, always trying to be better, get better, and then proving I can like get lots of business in me construction business. And people that always seem to come into me for like a bit of advice as if like I'm a mentor, whether it be in the gym or just friends and family or new people contacting me via social media or at network events. So people asking for all this advice, and it was always in one of those three areas, like, can you help me in the gym, or how do you stay so positive, you always seem to be in a good mindset, or your business is doing well, can you show me how to get more clients, or I've got a job, you don't even have to have a business, like I've got a job, I want to do better in it and get promoted or be the best I can. And because people kept asking me for advice, it just made me think, well, why did they see me as being like successful and they're not there yet? And why am I at that level and why are they not? What's the difference? And I thought about it and thought, well, why is that? And when I thought about it, like for a while, I was like, well, I'm always moving physically to get like a decent physique and be fit and healthy. I always eat well, so I'm always moving physically. I'm always moving in mindset. I'm always moving forward with like my knowledge, listening to podcasts like this, reading books, watching YouTube videos to learn rather than just consume, cats playing with stuff. Like, I'm actually utilising it to learn and learn from people I know. And then in business, always, if you make a mistake, well, okay, I've made a mistake, that's good. Rather than like, oh, I'm gutted. It's like, I've made a mistake, that's good. I've lost a bit of money, so however much that amount of money was, that's the cost of this mistake, but it's almost flipped on its head. It's the cost of the lesson that I'm about to learn. Put something into place that will stop that mistake happening again. So always moving forward in business as well. And so that word move, I suppose, just equal progress. That was like a simple way to think, to progress in life in all areas. Just keep moving. So that's why I thought that's a strong word, Move. And it applies to me in my life. And now Move is almost like a company which is a representation of my life. And what come of that was Move Netwalking. So we've got a networking event, which is networking and walking, every Sunday in West Kirby and every Saturday in Sefton Park, and soon to be every Sunday in Crosby Marina. So I won't be able to go to both. So the Crosby Marina will be the first one where it'll run by other people and maybe now and again my input. But those events are encapsulating the three things what Move is about, which is keeping fit and healthy, because you're going to be walking just under 5 miles. Good mindset and good to challenge yourself, because you got to get up early, be there for 7 o'clock on a weekend, be outdoors if it's raining. As you know, me and you've been out many a time where it's raining, it's windy, it's gale force winds. The last few weeks we've had storms, but we still go out. It's good for challenging your mindset and setting the stage for the rest of the day of like, I can conquer that, I can conquer anything now. And the whole time you're speaking to people who, a lot of people are in business, so you're going to share good practice, share your mistakes, learn how to get business from people, potentially even do business with them or refer them into each other, like to other people. So that one event is encapsulating everything that Moves about, and ultimately, whether you need all three things or it's just one, you're going to be sort of better off in whichever part of your life you want to be moving forward in and progressing in.
Yeah, certainly. I know the Move networking events that we go to in Sefton Park and West Kirby are great. They're always well attended, and they're always attended by sort of like-minded people that are in the same sort of mindset and thought process as yourself. Quite often they're in business, and like you say, there's a lot of good ideas and business shared between the group. Although that's not really the objective, I suppose, on the day. It's more about sort of being outside and keeping fit. Am I right in thinking Move as well has a sort of meaning behind it in terms of it being an acronym of sorts for how you sort of coach and apply certain techniques to some of your business clients?
Yeah, 100%. It's obviously the way it come about, as I've just said, that was why it come about. And then when I realised like the strategy I use every time to get business is the same. It's always just like I have to get to this person, to that person, so on. Certain people are involved at certain points, being middlemen. And I thought, can I make like a kind of set that as an acronym for the word Move? So I managed to do it. Like luckily, with the M-O-V-E, the M stands for me. So it's like, but when you're reading it, it's like there's me, and the E on the other side is your end clients. So it's like the person that pays you money, puts money in your bank account for the product or service that you provide. And most people want an end client. Everyone wants people to take them up on their offering, whatever that may be, and pay money, because they know that whatever they provide, whether it's a product or service, can be of value to that person. A lot of people are trying to go straight to their end clients. So like when I was in construction, I would want someone that wanted to build an extension. If I tried to find people who just built extensions, that would be pretty hard for me because of the way I market with relationship marketing. You could certainly do SEO on a website or direct mail or something like that. Those techniques can work for certain industries and that, and they can be efficient, but in some they're not. What I found was I want the end client, but the V is a vendor. That's someone who will vend end clients to me. So it's quite simply, is there someone else out there that naturally works with the people I want to be working with, like a vendor? Some people, it's got different names, but for me it's like vendor makes sense. It's like someone who's vending you your clients. And in construction it was architects. One architect can feed me literally more jobs in a year than I can handle. They only have to pass me, like we could take on 2 really big jobs at once. Maybe that was like our max capacity, where they're like 100, 200 grand jobs. So we turn over maybe £1 million max in a year. So one architect could feed us that. Never mind if you got 2 or 3. If we had 10 architects, that would have been ridiculous. So it turned out I ended up with like 2 or 3 architects really trying to feed us lots of work.
And there's a strategic reason why architects as well, isn't there, in construction?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you look at when a client needs an extension, for instance, they need a load of services. So I'll always draw like a diagram for a client saying, who is your end client? So for me, it was an extension. Who have they got to deal with in there just to do what they do, whether it's a lifestyle, who they deal with in the lifestyle, or if it's a business, who do they deal with on a daily basis. And if you look at every single person, almost like a spider diagram, in construction, they need an architect to draw the plans, they need a builder, they need a structure engineer, they need building control. So there's all these different services. The one that's the most effective is usually the one that's first there, the one that the client will go to first. So naturally, when you need an extension, you're going to go to the architect because you can't do anything else without the plans. So an architect, once they've done the work, will say, right, now we need a builder. Who do you want? And they're like, well, we don't know. Can you recommend someone? So they're in a prime position to recommend a builder. The person they're going to recommend is the person that's put in most effort with them and done a good job and can prove that, they're good at what they do. And that was always my job, to make sure I'm dealing with architects, helping them. If I say I'm going to do something, do it. Communication, do a good quality job, all the stuff that they like. And if I do that enough, they're going to have me at the forefront of their mind when they're thinking of which builder should be getting. So, and it's like that for any client, no matter what your industry, you've got someone out there, a vendor, that will be the person that can feed you clients, and they will pick up the phone to you and go, we've got another client for you, as long as you've done the homework and the groundwork to really help that vendor out, whoever that may be. How do you get to a vendor? Well, when I wanted architects, in fact, probably a better example, when I wanted letting agents for all the maintenance work I used to do. So maintenance work end clients, letting agents will feed me the work. So I wanted letting agents. I actually went into every letting agent in Morton Cross, in Heswell, in West Kirby, all the places on Wirral where there's like a group of letting agents. Went in all smart with my business card, told them what I did, they all said, oh yeah, it sounds good, we'll give you a call. No one ever gave me a call ever. So trying to go direct to someone, like a cold call or a cold visit, just didn't work. What happened when BNI was, I realised if you're specific about being asked to speak to someone, and I'm asking people in the room at BNI if they can introduce me to someone. When I did that the first time, I asked to speak to a local letting agent. I won't say the name, but it was a local one, which everyone will have heard of. What's the chances that when I said I'd love to speak to this branch in this road, in this area, the person sat next to me goes, oh, I know them, really good friend of mine, I'll introduce you. They introduced me, and within an hour, I'm on the phone to the manager, and he's telling him all about what I do. He's expecting me call, he knows who I am, knows what I do, knows how I can help him, knows the benefit. And he's like, yeah, we'll start passing you some work then, because, you know, the person we know, our mutual contact, has recommended you. That's the opener. That's what the O stands for. They're going to open the door to a vendor. So this opener person is one of the crucial parts of the whole relationship marketing model, because the opener is the person that will be the middleman and introduce it to you, to your vendor. So an opener is a person. So the people know people, like they're all around us. They're at network events, you know, Move Netwalking, BNI, but they're also at the gym. They're at, if you go to a club regularly, any type of club you're a part of, there's people there, your friends, your family, people in school, people in your job. Every single person has got power to introduce you to your vendor when you know who that vendor is. And that's how you can end up being someone that builds relationships with the right people, and they're literally feeding you business throughout the year without you ever trying to get any.
And that can happen in the most sort of organic and natural way, from sort of
all organic,
just talking to people and not even networking events, I suppose, just by building relationships, which is the sort of core topic of this podcast really is relationships.
That's it. I mean, ultimately, people respond to whatever's coming out your mouth, whatever your message is, people respond to that. So, like, I know that we spoke about this before, there's certain chocolate bars I like. So my family and friends have over the years spotted Mark likes a Kinder Bueno bar, or this one or that one. So if they're like going to get me something for Christmas and we'll get them a chocolate bar as well, or they just get me, they're out to go in the shop and they just pick something for me. What are they going to pick? They always pick a Bueno or something that they know I've talked about a lot. That's the same with business. If you know your vendor is, and you're saying that to your family, you don't have to be in sales mode trying to sell to your family member or your friend. But if they ask you how business is, I've done it plenty of times where I've said to a cousin or an auntie or an uncle, oh yeah, business is good, got loads of architects feeding us work, architects are really good. So I'm just saying that with architects. A few times someone said, oh well, do you know my mate so-and-so, his dad's an architect, I'll introduce you. So I've got friends and family introducing me to people who are going to be perfect vendors who will feed me business in the future, just from mentioning one word, because I know who my vendor is. And that's coming from a family member or a friend or someone I've known for a while, who, again, this goes back to that untapped potential. Everyone's got loads of power for you, but unless you're saying the right thing and giving the right message, you won't get anything from it. But if you do give the right message, you can get lots of stuff from the people you already know, and you're not trying to sell, you're not in business mode, it's just a natural organic thing that happens.
And it's coming from a sort of a good source as well, and that they may already have a relationship with that person, so it's not like a cold referral. If it's coming from someone that might know them already, and it's you're more likely to sort of get that sort of chance to speak to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, if you've met someone a few times at a network event, they're new to you. Once they know who your vendor is or the person that you're looking to speak to, the chances are that hopefully they will introduce you or go out the way. But no one's going to go out the way more than anyone than a family member or a friend who's known you all your life, or you know, a long time. So ultimately, your friends and family can end up being the best people to refer you to the types of people that you're looking for. And not a lot of people are tapping into that. If you think about it as well, I mentioned to my sister that I was doing maintenance work. She worked for a local letting agent on Wirral, like the biggest one. And that ended up being my first letting agent that started to pass me work, simply because it was on the forefront of her mind. So when someone in the office said, oh, you know what, we need a new guy to do our maintenance work, we're stuck because the guy who was doing it can't do it no more, her instant response was, oh, my brother does that, I can get him to come in if you want. They were like, yeah, bring your brother in, no problem. Again, she had the relationship with the boss because she works there, she knows me. So my sister ended up being the person that was introducing me to a potentially good client who ended up doing, you know, hundreds of £1,000s worth of maintenance work with. So that's not a
And
bad
it's a
thing.
warm lead as well, isn't
Just
it?
simply from a simple message of, I do maintenance work now, and I'd love to speak to letting agents. My sister happens to work in one, so it's an easy way. You know, it's organic, like you said, and it's easy. My sister's going to be more motivated than anyone, than someone I barely know on a network event. But again, that's where, if you build those relationships over a long period of time, new people become, you know, friends and people you've known for a while. Every relationship has to start somewhere, and eventually it turns into the point where you're like, I'll help that guy out, he's always nice to me, using that 10-to-1 rule, helping people. You're always like sort of in a positive thought, you felt, what's the word, you're like, you're thought of in a positive way to the people that know you, and they naturally want to help you out. That's why B&I works so well for me, always just trying to help people. You know, simple as that.
Oh, cool. It's good. It's interesting when you look at sort of how relationships evolve. I know we spoke earlier about the Move Netwalking events that you organise in Sefton Park on a Saturday in West Kirby on a Sunday morning, and I know we spoke earlier when we were having a coffee, and we were saying that the good thing with it is we're there and we're out and the weather's horrible and whatnot, and we're building relationships and we're having a laugh and a bit of banter between us, but we're also building friendships as well. And I think I said this to Kath, one of the girls who was there yesterday. I said that it's interesting that you make friendships, and not on the back of like you say, naturally you do have that thought process of, oh yeah, she's this or he's that, and then you do begin to sort of think of passing sort of work or referrals or opening doors if you can help.
100%, mate. I mean, when I think about, I've just been on a skiing holiday a month ago, 5 weeks ago. Every one of those people, at one point, we're not a friend. The reason they're now a friend is because every one of them, I met them at network events, people in business, people I've done business with, probably done business with every one of them in some way, and they've ended up being friends. But like, I mean, that's a good point what you say. We're going to somewhere like networking, or, you know, anywhere with people. I'm encouraging people to focus on the relationship, and, you know, on the social side, if you've got any common interests or that, the natural byproduct is, what do you do when you know someone well enough? You always say what you do. So you say, oh, I work in this, or I have my own business. That's then going to turn into, you know, business in the future, or a referral of business, if, again, you apply 10-to-1 rule, show that you care, help them out, and they're doing that for you. You're naturally going to do business without even sort of putting that event out there as a business event. That's why on Netwalking, I mention now and again, you know, speak to other business owners, but the main thing I play on is come and get fit and healthy, come and be around other people who are sort of like-minded, people who are disciplined enough to get up of a morning and get out at 7 o'clock, whether it's raining or windy and whatever the weather. And that in itself, the fact that sometimes it is tough, that creates like a sense of achievement at the end, and less people turn up on them days, which is great, because the only people turning up are like the cream of the crop as such. So if you're going to build a relationship with anyone, I'd much rather it be those types of people than people who, you know, don't really, at the sign of any type of hurdle, they just go, oh, you know, I won't do that, I'll just quit. It's like, I don't want to do business with people that quit easy. I'd rather be doing business with people, or knowing that I've got friends who don't quit, if I'm going to refer them to like my best clients, where they can do a lot of business with them. I want to know that I'm safe in saying, this person's going to be good for you, and they won't let you down. And the likelihood is that people that turn up at 7 o'clock in the morning at an event, whether it's raining and stormy, they're people that are very highly likely going to keep the promise and do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, for sure. Wise words, definitely. What we often do now, sort of moving on in the podcast, is we always look for some sort of top tips. Now, I'll do two today, because when I come and grabbed you earlier, I know you're a big reader, and I spotted some books, so we're gonna have a quick sort of recap on books that you like, and then also top tips. So I'm throwing you on the spot a bit here. So I always sort of try and do this. I know on the last one with Pam, I kind of threw it at her at the last. But so books, what are your top 5 books that you like to read at the moment, or you have read or are reading at the moment?
Top 5,
or top 3. It doesn't have to be 5.
Well, one of the best books I've read in the last year or so is David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. That's a really good one. About
a Navy SEAL?
Yeah, Navy SEAL, overcome a lot of, I mean, we talk about adversity in networking because it's raining or windy or something, but he's come up against proper adversity and ended up being like, you know, having a successful career as a Navy SEAL and then going on to do all these feats of like, you know, running 200-mile marathons and all sorts of crazy stuff. So he just shows what's possible if you put your mind to it and don't give yourself excuses. And that's almost what I'm doing with networking on a very small scale compared to where he's at. But basically saying to people, look, you know, quit the excuse, get yourself along and stop complaining that life isn't good. Because if you want something good, you've got to go up against something a bit hard. So that's a good book. The last book I finished was Coactive Coaching. So it's a coaching book, but, you know, coaching people lends itself to everything in life. You don't have to be a coach to have good coaching skills. You know, if you've got kids, you're coaching them as they're growing up and you're teaching them stuff. You're coaching your kids. Have you got a partner? Like, you can subtly coach them, start to become better people. Because if they're better, you know, it makes your life better. So having good coaching skills is a good thing to have, whether you're a coach or not. So coactive coaching is a good one. The current one I'm on now is called the EQ Edge, which is about emotional intelligence. That's a spot on book so far. I'm about a quarter of the way through only, but everything is explained so far as all it's being fully in tune with the way I think, and a lot of the stuff we're talking about to do with relationships and how to like manipulate people, but in a positive way. Not use that manipulation, you know, to take advantage, but to actually help people in a certain way. That book talks about all that. So it's how it's almost like interpersonal relationships and how you deal with people. And a lot of the same ideas that are in the book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Napoleon Hill. Good that's like a really good book. It's from, you know, years ago, but the principles in that apply now. And that was a book I read probably 5, 6, 7 years ago now, quite a while ago. And the principles in that are what I've ultimately used to gain friends and influence people, but again using that influence of power in good light, in like, you know, making sure I'm using it for good and not just sort of taking advantage of people. So and there's one good book, a small book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which a few people I know who were like mentors of mine have recommended it. It's a tiny book, you can read it in a day, couple of days. And it's, well, I won't even tell people what it is. It's a good book, it's a short book, so but there's a really good lesson in there about being yourself and following your true calling, which I think is a big thing, especially with me going from being in construction to going into something totally different what I do now with Move, and really understanding like that's what I want to do. That's what I understand is like, you know, that's my life's purpose. As such, every job I've ever had in retail, call centres, warehouses and so on, even in construction, I've always ended up being in that role where I'm helping people, coaching people, training people, almost just sort of naturally wanting people to do better. So that's how Moves come about. It's like, what do I naturally do? I'm always wanting to help people. So if I can do that now, help them in business and the other areas of life, I'm winning. So I do that every day now. Yeah. It's not even work, not even a job.
No, that's the best job when you don't think about it and you're doing what you love.
That's it.
So just to sort of close out, in terms of sort of relationship marketing, have you got any top tips that you can offer for listeners? I know we get them globally. Anything you can think of?
Well, I mean, sticking to the system, the MOVE, which is me, open a vendor, end clients. Always know that we want end clients. But the vendor is the person that can feed you potentially unlimited amounts of clients. So if you figure out who your vendor is, which is one of the exercises I do with my clients, all your marketing efforts can be on vendors then. So all my messages used to be architect. Tip of the day on LinkedIn on a video about one subject, but I'd subtly mention like myself and go, you know, architects are good for us because they introduce us to clients and we can really help them and we pass them business. So I'm mentioning that word architect in the body of the video, or it could be in the text. People will pick up on it and say, oh Mark, you know, great video, thanks for the tip, learned a lot. But you mentioned architects, I know a few, can I introduce you? Without even trying to sell. And this comes back to, I've never tried to sell anything, all I've done is add value and mention what might work for me, which is architects. So if you can work out who your vendor is, that's 100% one of the best ways to build up. It takes time, but you'll get more business than you can handle. Easy analogy as well, as which I think is important, is like if you see getting an apple as a piece of business, You can go and search for apples all day long and go to all the different fields. If you do that every single day, you probably get some apples every day and feed yourself forever. But every day you're having to look and hunt and find and fetch. If you spend your time planting seeds and nurturing the land and watering it and looking after the tree, you won't get any apples right now. So, you know, there will be a bit of a drought period. But when that tree grows, or multiple trees, when they start to grow apples, you'll have way more than you can ever need. And that's almost the same path I'm going on. I did it with construction. I'm doing it now with my business, and it's what I show clients to do. So in the meantime, you can still pick up business in other ways. But as a long-term strategy, relationship marketing is like, it's a long-term thing. But once you've got it, it's there forever. And eventually leads to word of mouth. And once you're in word of mouth zone, all you need to do is just do a good job in your product or service that you provide. And the word of mouth will continue forever.
Yeah. That's probably a really good sort of point to come to a close. But yeah, great podcast, some great advice there. I know as well, just before we close up, you do a lot of videos on LinkedIn. So in the blog that this goes in, I'll make sure there's a link to your LinkedIn page so people can see and watch some of your videos and perhaps get a little bit more hints and tips off it. But yeah, that's a wrap from us today. So thanks very much, Mark, for coming.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate the offer, mate. It's been good to be on it. First podcast I've ever done, actually. So it's been interesting, enjoyable.
It's been great. Thanks. Thanks again for coming.
My pleasure, Mark.
Cheers.